Hi guys, here we are. We're going to make some braised beef in stout, which is this Guinness stout, as you can see in this lovely jug here. So that's part of the recipe. We've got some beef stock, lardons, pork lardons, bacon if you like, but this the main ingredient is this lovely beef, stewing beef, braising beef. Got celery, carrots, onions, tomato puree, flour, chopped garlic, salt and pepper to taste, and olive oil to cook, and we've got some sprigs of thyme and bay leaves, and all put together. We shall see what comes from it. Right, first thing to do is put some olive oil into this pan, enough to fry the beef, and then we need to heat it up so we get it nice and hot before we put the beef in. Okay, the next stage is to get this lovely beef. We've got some salt and pepper here. Make sure you wash your hands before you handle the beef. What we're going to do is make sure it's nice and dry, so we use a kitchen towel. So we're going to take about a third of the beef here, and going to put some salt and pepper into the mix and give it a little bit of a mix before it goes into the pan to fry. Now you can only do a few at a time, otherwise it doesn't work very well. So that's all nicely mixed. Now we'll just, once the oil is heated up in the pan, we can then put it in. Let's just tie a piece. As you can see, it goes off straight away, so we put the rest in. Oh, that oil is lovely and hot, that's for sure. Yep. That's the first batch of beef, nicely browned. As you can see, we'll transfer that now into a separate bowl, and then we can try the rest of the beef. Let's get all this out. Okay, here's the rest of the beef going in. So you want to make sure this is nicely fried and browned all over. Right, there's the last of the beef, nicely browned, and put it to one side. There we go. In the same pan with the juices that came from the beef, we're going to now put the onions in, and we're going to soften them up a bit in there alongside with the garlic, so we get a nice flavoursome mix. We're going to soften these onions now in the pan for about 3 minutes. Okay, now the onion and garlic is softened up a bit, we can add these lardons, bacon, dry cured, into the mixture, and we will let that in there till it gets a bit nice and brown. Right then guys, this lardons are nicely browned, liquid coming out there, so now we have to add into the carrots, mix those in, and along with that we've got celery. Just mix it all in nicely so it's all in together into a combined mixture. Okay, now that's all together, we need to add the flour, and we have to cook it off for a minute or so in the heat to enable the juices to be added to make it into a nice unctuous gravy. But you have to make sure that the flour is cooked, otherwise if you don't, it will taste of flour. We don't want that. Okay. Next stage is to add this lovely Guinness we've got in a jug. Add that in, mix it in as you pour, so it takes up on the flour and makes the gravy a nice thickness. Also, we need to add the beef stock we've got in this jar. Of course, look at that, we've got a lot of liquid in there now, and hopefully that'll all come together. But to make it more tasty, we've got some tomato puree we're going to add, and that'll get into the total mixture, give it a bit more flavour. Mix that all nicely together, and in a moment we'll add the beef. And here it is, as if by command, all the beef is here. We're just going to put that all into that mixture, and we're going to bring it all back to the boil with a bit more heat, and we will cover that and cook it for about 2 hours, I think. What do you think? Okay, yeah. The lid goes on and we gently simmer that for 2 hours. Sorry guys, as we said, we're just about to set this off, but we've got to put in the thyme and bay leaves, which will add to the flavour. Just put them in and say continue simmering that for 2 hours. Okay, while we're waiting for the beef to cook in the saucepan on the stove, we prepare the potatoes for cooking to make the mash. Now, here in England, we call them potatoes. Don't know what they call them anywhere else in the world. But you have to take the skin off, as you can see, and any imperfections under the tap. Slice it to a reasonable size, and then we can put them into a saucepan. You see that? Let's try another one. It's good to put it under running water because it removes any starchy bits as you peel. Some people use a peeler. We use a knife. Just cut it into sections and into the saucepan, ready to boil. And more to come. Here we are guys, there's the potatoes in the pan in water. Now we need to turn them on and boil them before we can mash the potatoes. In the meantime, we shall be doing some mushrooms. Here we are, we're going to saute mushrooms in butter before we put the actual mushrooms into the mixture. First off, we have to melt the butter in the pan. So, and you always use butter to fry mushrooms because butter will give you a higher temperature and it will make it more tasty. Okay, once the butter is melted, as you can see, it's all nicely melted and starting to bubble, we can add our chopped mushrooms. We've got plenty of them, so we need to stir them around to coat them all in the melted butter and then continue to fry until they're all nicely browned. Here we go, let's continue. Here we are then, guys. We can see the mushrooms have been cooked down now. They've shrunk, obviously, because that's what happens, but they can become brown and more flavoursome. It's not part of the main recipe, but we like to have mushrooms, so we're going to enjoy these when we add them to the main dish in a little while. Okay. Okay, here we have it. It's been boiling away for 2 hours or so. As you can see, it's nicely done. This is the time when we're going to add in our mushrooms. As you can see that, let's get them all in. Stir them in, and now we're just going to continue cooking this with the lid off so that it gets thicker.
How many minutes?
Oh, 45 at least. Okay, doesn't it look nice?
Yes, I'm so hungry, guys.
Okay, our potatoes are ready to be boiled, so we're just going to add some salt, as you can see, and we shall turn on the heat, put it on, put the lid on, and wait till they boil. Okay, let's just check these potatoes. What we want to do, yeah, it's nice and soft so the fork goes all the way through. They're not quite done yet. We shall keep going for a bit longer. Go down or drill smalls and put some engine oil in. Okay, it looks like they're nice and soft now. So we can turn off the heat and drain and mash. Okay, here we go. The mash is mashing, and we would add some butter first off, just to ease it down a bit before we add some cream. See that? Cream. Not too much, just enough to make it a bit more unctuous. Now it's looking good. We continue to mash that until it's nice and smooth. Halfway through mashing, we will add some salt. There we go. Perfect. Mash a bit more. It's getting to a nice texture now. Some people don't like lumps in their mashed potatoes, but other people like having lumps in their mashed potato. They like it a bit rustic. Because we're having cheesy mash, obviously we've got to put some cheese in. So we've got some cheddar cheese that's been grated, extra mature. We'll put that in and mix it in just like mashing, and that should melt into the potato. And to make it a bit smoother, we can add some milk. Oh, look at that. Becomes easier to slosh around. There, look at that. Mashed potato, easy peasy.
Yes, yes, it's very nice. What can you say?
Mash is lovely.
Mash is nice. There's no lumps in it. You never
The
made
mash
it.
is very smooth. The beef is
Very tender.
perfectly tender, and the flavour of the gravy that's with it is wholesome.
There you go, Chef Nigel. Well done.
What a recommendation. Very good.
They'll be drunk later. Okay, bye-bye.
I only gave him a fiver.